My name's Jo Day. I do respite and long-term, 4.5 years. I've got one long-term child and I've done respite for many. I hadn't had children myself, but always had the maternal bug, so to speak. And my sister said to me, why don't you be a foster carer? And I was like, what does that entail? And I looked into it and spoke to Life Without Barriers and went into the process, and then I sort of got obsessed with the journey, and it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. Initially it was an interview process. The process took about a year. It was like a year and a day to my first phone call to my child arriving. It was all, 3 weeks, and then you'd have another interview, and then somebody would come to your house and interview, then you'd do this training course and you do that. It went over a long process, and then at the end they filmed me on a Wednesday and I had the child on a Friday. So it was quite strange. I know it must be different for everybody, but that was certainly my experience. Child and family practitioner. Basically it means my daughter's got a social worker and I've got a helper, someone to help me, to guide me through what's happening with the DCP and what's happening with the legislation, to have that person that you can phone and comes to check up on you, because check up on your child and just goes, are you right? It means the world. It's not just from my CFP. So her boss is available to me, and her boss's boss is available to me, and her boss's boss's boss is available to me. The top person for South Australia at Life Without Barriers, I had lunch with her last week. It's a different kettle of fish. There's nothing intimidating about Life Without Barriers. Okay, so respite is, maybe it might be one night or a weekend, a few days, or if somebody's going away, probably no more than a week. I've not done more than 3 nights. That's just to give other carers a break. And then long-term is, usually long-term orders will be until the child is 18. It can be planned weeks in advance. What I always tend to do is have the child come over to introduce himself to my child and also to know our house, so that they feel comfortable in the space. Because if my daughter is uncomfortable, it's her house as well. So that's a decision we have to make. But sometimes it could be, oh, somebody needs something right away, would you? And I look at my little one and go, what? And she goes, yeah, let's do it. So it could be. Anyway, usually it's planned. It's planned in advance. I don't think that would be the case with emergency, but I don't do emergency. So ours is usually planned respite. So emergency respite and respite are two very different things. Emergency respite could be a child rocks up at 10 o'clock at night, or, you get a couple of minutes warning or a couple of hours warning, whereas respite, I haven't actually had a time where I've had less than 3 or 4 days to know about it. Well, what happens is I will ask their CFP to bring the child to the house, because I need the child to be comfortable with our house as well. Because don't just drop them off at the doorstep, because that's not fair either. And then I get my daughter to show them where their space is going to be in the spare room, and we say how it's going to be set up. Their choice of whatever stuffed toys they'd like. And then what I'll do is I'll speak to their parents and say, what are their favourites? This is what we usually have for cereal, and what are their favourite foods, and what are their likes and dislikes and that sort of thing. And then my daughter and I will plan what we think might be fun, and then we'll ask them if they'd like to do that. And then we sort of pre-plan. The one thing my daughter can't deal with is surprises. So I don't want to do that to any other children. So I give them as much information as possible, and these are the things we're planning. Things could change, but these are the things we're planning on doing. So that's how we work it out as 3 of us. What I usually will do is have it sort of age appropriate for my daughter, so that it's fun. It's a boy or girl, but us 17-year-olds not really going to work. Her brother's 14 and he comes, and we've got other little boys who are 13, 14, and they get on tremendously. So it's very much, if she's comfortable, tremendous. And yes, I need a lot of it. Life Without Barriers has been fantastic for me, but I've had the DCP situation, and in 4.5 years I've had 16 social workers, but I've had 1 CFP. And that has made all the difference. That's made myself and my child feel consistent throughout that process. Because my daughter has not much thoughts about the social workers, because they come and go and she can't have a relationship with them. Whereas our CFP has been consistent throughout. I actually took her to school yesterday when I'm at this conference. So she's a familiar face. To have that consistency has been so leveling for me, because my journey with the social workers has been like that. Whereas Life Without Barriers has been really consistent, and I'd like to say thank you to them for that. I used to. I'm single, so working, foster child and DCP, something had to give. So work was the one that had to give. So I spend all my time supporting my child, which is great. But I worked for 38 years before that. But now I feel like I'm working harder than I ever did in the 38 years. But it's a completely different type of work. Not at all. A child needs love and nurturing, and whether it's 1 parent, 2 parent. But at the end of the day, you'll find that most children have got a village around them. So it's not about who's called what. It's about who's in that child's life and who loves them. Mockingbird actually helped me through the darkest time, because I was given this child within 2 days. My CFP got me into the Mockingbird group. And God bless your friends and your family, but they just don't get it. Nobody gets it. Your friends are like, well, what do you mean you're not available on Friday? So, best intention, you just stop getting invited to the parties and this, and now you're available for coffee on a Wednesday, But they're all working. So Mockingbird was a bunch of carers like me, and they got it. And all the kids together were playing, and I could speak to people who'd been through what I'd been through, but also knew the answers. I've never been more thankful for Mockingbird, because that got me through some dark time. Because I was sitting at home on my own in the hills with a traumatized child going, what's going on? Can anybody help me? So yes, I'm thrilled that it's around, and I wish everybody had access to Mockingbird, and everybody should, because it's extraordinary. Well, we've got a WhatsApp group, so daily there's something going up on there. Every fortnight we have a morning tea, every month we have a meeting, and in between that we'll do playground catch-ups, events probably monthly. Every quarter we'll do something a bit bigger, and yearly we go away on a trip together. So there's a lot. It's wonderful. Yeah, everybody deserves a Mockingbird. The day my little one asked me if she was allowed to call me mum, and also when we had a 6-week honeymoon period, and I went, this can't be right. And then the first time she got really cross with me, I was like, yes, because I knew she trusted me. I think the myth is there's foster children and then there's children, and there's not such a thing. There's just children. They're no different, is what I feel. They're just part of somebody's home.